Hello students. So students, today we are starting with the 7th chapter of your syllabus and the name of this chapter is cell division. Now students, we know that life of any multicellular organism, it starts from a single cell. And in an embryonic stage, the single cell is called as the zygote. So we can say that the growth and development of any living organism, it depends upon that zygote. And for the growth and development of any living organism, it also depends upon the cell division that takes place. Okay. Now, talking about cell division, it is a complete process which takes place in a coordinated and a synchronized manner. And as stated in the cell theory that we have studied in the previous chapters, that every cell, it arises from the pre-existing cell. Correct? Now, all of these things, the processes of cell division and everything, we are going to study in this chapter further. So let us start this chapter by studying the cell cycle, the basic introduction of cell cycle. So now, as we know that cell division, it is very important process in all the living organism. And when we say cell cycle, it does not only happen like the cell division process, but along with cell division, there is DNA replication and then there is cell growth. What do you mean by DNA replication? Here the genetic material, the DNA, it gets doubled. And what do you mean by cell growth? When we say cell growth, after the DNA is being doubled, there is also an increase in the cytoplasmic content of the cell. And all these processes, that is the division of the cells, DNA replication and cell growth, it has to take place in a coordinated way. So it has to take place in a coordinated way to ensure a correct division and a correct formation of progeny cell. That means it has to be ensured that a proper offspring is being formed, a proper offspring cell is being produced. And this offspring cell or the progeny cell that is produced or that is formed will contain intact number of genomes, that is intact number of genetic material. Now the sequence of events by which a cell duplicates in a genome, synthesizes the other constituent of the cell and eventually divides into a daughter cell is termed as cell cycle. So students, once again, what is cell cycle? The sequence of events by which a cell duplicates its genome, that is its genetic material, synthesizes the other constituents, that means the other cytoplasmic content of the cell, and eventually divides, and then it divides into two daughter cells, that means a pre-existing cell giving rise to new cell. This is termed as a cell cycle. And although cell growth, it is a continuous process, DNA synthesis occurs only at a specific stage in the cell cycle that we are going to study in this chapter now. Okay, so let us take this chapter forward by studying the phases of cell cycle. Now, a typical eukaryotic cell, okay, if it is a typical eukaryotic cell, the cell cycle that takes place in a eukaryotic cell, it is illustrated by a human cell in a culture. Now, when we speak about a human cell, it divides approximately in every 24 hours, okay, and during these 24 hours, this duration of the cell cycle, it can vary. You know, it can vary from organism to organism and it also depends upon the cell type. So when we take an example of yeast cell, okay, yeast cell can progress through a cell cycle in about 90 minutes. Now before we go into this, we first need to know that there are two main phases of cell cycle, the interphase and the M phase. Interphase is what? Interphase is the G1 phase or gap 1 phase that you can see over here. Then there is a synthesis phase, that is the S phase where DNA replication takes place, and then there is G2 phase. Okay, now if we speak about a human cell, in a human cell the G1 phase, it may last about for 11 hours, S phase is for 8 hours and G2 phase is for 4 hours. And after this interphase, there is the next phase that occurs which is called as the M phase or the mitosis phase. Okay. So the M phase or the mitosis phase, it represents the phase when the actual cell division, or you can say when actual mitosis occurs. So students, previously when I said that though it is a cyclic process, but the DNA synthesis occurs during only one specific stage, this is that one specific stage where the DNA replication takes place. Okay, so the M phase, it represents the phase when the actual cell division or mitosis occurs, and the interphase represents the phase between two successive M phase. So when we say, if we consider a human cell, okay, if we consider that a human cell, it divides in approximately every 24 hours. So it is a significant to note that in this 24 hours, the average duration of cell cycle in a human cell, the cell division proper lasts for only about 1 hour. That means from this 24 hours, there is only 1 hour for this M phase, and the rest 23 hours is for the interphase. Correct? That means the interphase, it will last for more than about 95% of the duration of the cell cycle. Now let us first see about M phase, and then we'll see what is we'll see the explanation, the detailed explanation for interphase. Now M phase, it starts with nuclear division. Okay, so first thing that happens is the nuclear divides. When the nuclear divides, this means the genetic material is also getting divided. And this corresponds to the separation of the daughter chromosome, as I said, that the genetic material is dividing. And this process is known as karyokinesis. So when there is a nuclear division, and with this nuclear division there is a separation of daughter chromosomes, the whole process is called as karyokinesis. And usually this ends with a division of cytoplasm. So once the nuclear division takes place, the nuclear division is over, the daughter chromosomes are separated, then takes place the cytoplasmic division. And the cytoplasmic division is called as cytokinesis. Okay, so in M phase, first what takes place is karyokinesis, that means the nuclear division will take place, and then takes place the cytokinesis. And then comes the interphase. Interphase is called as the resting phase. Okay, it is the time during which the cell will prepare for division by undergoing both cell growth and DNA replication. So this interphase is the phase which is also called as the resting phase. Here the cell will prepare itself for the next cell division. So what happens between in this interphase stage? In interphase, what happens is there will be cell growth. That means there will be a cytoplasmic content growth, and then there will be DNA replication, doubling of DNA. Once the DNA is doubled, then again the DNA will divide into two parts. Okay, so this is a cyclic process where the DNA, the doubling of the genetic material, or you can say the separation of the genetic material, takes place only in this one phase, that is mitosis. Now first let us study about the interphase, and then we will go to the M phase, that is the mitosis phase. Let us start with G1 phase. G1 phase or the gap 1 phase, it corresponds to the interval between mitosis and the initiation of DNA replication. Okay, so it is corresponded as a interval between mitosis and the DNA replication phase. So students, if you remember, I said that DNA replication, it takes place in this S phase, that is the synthetic phase. So what is G1 phase? It is an interval phase between mitosis and this S phase. Okay, so during G1 phase, the cell is metabolically active and continuously grows, but there is no replication of DNA. The replication of DNA will only start after the end of this G1 phase. So as the G1 phase ends, the next phase is called as the S phase or the synthesis phase. So this phase, it marks the period during which the DNA synthesis, or you can say replication of DNA, takes place. And during this time, the amount of DNA per cell is doubled. So suppose at an initial level, the initial amount of DNA is denoted as 2C. So at the end of this S phase, it will be 4C. Okay, so this is simply to make you understand that the DNA doubles at the end of the S phase. Now there is one thing that you need to note over here, that there is no increase in the chromosome number. Okay, though the DNA is doubling, but there is no increase in the chromosome number. Okay, so if the cell has a diploid, or you can say 2n number of chromosomes at G1 phase, even in S phase the number of chromosome remains the same. That means the number of chromosomes will remain 2n, that is the diploid chromosome. In animal cell, during this S phase, DNA replication begins with the nucleus and the centriole duplicates in the cytoplasm. That we will be studying when we are actually studying about the M phase. Now, studying about G2 phase. G2 phase, or the protein, here the proteins are synthesized. So G2 phase, which is also known as the GAP2 phase, here protein synthesis takes place in separation for mitosis while cell growth continues. Some cells in an adult animal do not appear to exhibit division. Okay, for example, if we take an example of heart cell. So heart cell in an adult animal, it does not exhibit division. And there are many other cells that divide only occasionally. Okay, the one example that I can give you is of the liver cell. It divides only occasionally when there is a need to replace the old cell, or you can say when there is a need to replace a worn out, injured or dead cell. And these cells that do not divide further exit the G1 phase and they will enter the G0 phase. So, what do you mean over here? That if there are some cells that cannot divide further, they will exit from this phase, that is the G1 phase, and they will be entering the G0 phase. The cells in this stage, it remains metabolically active. That means when the cells are entering the G0 phase, these cells will be metabolically active, but they will no longer proliferate unless called on to do so, or depending upon the requirement of the organisms. So the cells will be there, they will be metabolically active, but they will not proliferate and they will not come in action until there is a requirement in an organism's body. Now in animal cells, the mitotic cell division, it is only seen in diploid somatic cells. Okay, but however there are some exceptions in animals as well. So here what happens in an exceptional case, what happens is the diploid cells, they divide by the haploid cells will divide by mitosis. The example is of a male honeybee. In a male honeybee, a haploid cell, it divides by mitosis rather than the diploid cell. Okay, now after G2 phase, let us start with the M phase. Now M phase, it is considered to be the most dramatic period of cell cycle. Okay, and since the number of chromosome, as I said, from the parent to the progeny, it remains the same. So if there is a diploid number of chromosome, at the end of the cycle, the number of chromosome will remain the same. That means it will remain a diploid number of chromosome. So as the number of chromosome is same, it is called as the equational division, because the equal number of chromosomes are being distributed. But for the convenience of mitosis, for the convenience of understanding mitosis, mitosis is being divided into 4 stages of nuclear division. Okay, so there is 4 stages of karyokinesis, that is the prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase. And it is very essential to understand that cell division is a progressive process and very clear-cut line cannot be drawn between various stages. Okay, so it is a serial process. There is no such gap between the phases. So sometimes it can happen that in between these progressive process, there you cannot draw a very clear-cut line. So now let us study the stages of karyokinesis and then we'll move to cytokinesis, that is the cytoplasmic division. So the first stage of karyokinesis is prophase. So prophase, which is the first phase, and it is followed by the S and the G2 phase in the interphase. Okay, so if you remember this, If you remember this diagram, after G2 phase or the S phase, the first phase that comes in N phase is prophase. Okay, so in the S and the G2 phase, the new DNA molecules that are formed are not distinct but they are intertwined. Okay, so over here if you see this picture, this is the microscopic image where you can see the DNA, the genetic material, it is intertwined. It is not, it is not very open. It is not very, separated from each other. They are intertwined. So prophase is marked as an initiation of condensation of the chromosomal material. So here the chromosomal material in the nucleus is condensed. So what will happen here? The chromosomal material will get untangled and the chromatin will condense. The second thing that happens is the centrosome begins to move towards the opposite pole. So if you see the centrosome, they are shifting to the opposite pole. One will come and get placed over here at this pole and the other will be placed at this pole. Okay, now the completion of this prophase, it is marked by the following characteristics. Let us see what are the characteristics. The first one is the chromosomal material, it condenses to form a compact mitotic chromosome. So here if you see the chromosomal material, it is condensing, correct? So the chromosomes are seen to be composed of two chromatids attached together at the centromere. So this is the centromere that you can see. And at every centromere you will see the chromosome, the two chromatids of chromosomes attached. So this is what do you mean by condensation of chromosomes. Each centrosome will move to or will radiate to the opposite poles, and it will also radiate out the microtubules. So if you see, there is a radiation of these microtubules. Okay, and the cells at the end of prophase, when viewed under the microscope, they will not show Golgi complex, they will not show endoplasmic reticulum, they will not show the nucleolus and the nuclear envelope. So slowly the nucleus and the nuclear envelope also starts disappearing at the end of the prophase. After this comes the metaphase. Now what happens in metaphase? Here there is a complete disintegration of the nuclear envelope. So here if you see, the nuclear envelope was slowly getting disintegrated, correct? It was slowly disappearing. But in metaphase, there is a complete disintegration of the nuclear envelope, and this is marked as the second phase of mitosis. Okay, so by this stage the condensation of chromosome is done and they can be observed clearly under the microscope. So if you see over here, this is the metaphase where you can see the chromosomes very clearly. This is prophase where the condensation has taken place. Here you can see the chromosomes. Okay, so this is metaphase. So a small disc-shaped structure at the surface of the centromeres are called kinetochores. Now, if we just speak about the chromosome, this one chromosome. So chromosome, it is made up of two chromatids, two sister chromatids, which are held together by a centromere, correct? And there are two small disc-shaped structures surrounding this centromere, or you can say at the side of the two centromere, which are called as kinetochores. Now these structures, what are their functions? They serve as a site for attachment for the spindle fibers. Okay, so the spindle fibers are, they come and they get attached at the kinetochores. Now the plane of alignment of the chromosomes at metaphase, it is referred to as a metaphase plane. So this thing, this plane of attachment, or you can say the plane of alignment, this is called a metaphase plane. Now let us also see some key features of metaphase, that is some characteristic feature of metaphase. First, the spindle fiber, they get attached to the kinetochores of the chromosome. Second, the chromosomes, they move to the spindle equator. They will move at the equator and they get aligned along this metaphase plane. Okay, where you can see spindle fibers are attached on both the poles. So this is the end of metaphase, and after metaphase comes anaphase. Now at an onset of anaphase, each chromosome, they are arranged at a metaphase plate. Okay, so at the start, at the start of the anaphase, we will see that the chromosomes will be arranged at the metaphase plate, correct? And this slowly they split. Okay, so at the onset of anaphase, each chromosome, they are arranged at the metaphase plate. These are split simultaneously, and the two daughter chromatids now are referred to as daughter chromosomes. So you can see slowly they get separated, they get split, and they will move to two opposite poles. And now these daughter chromatids will be referred to as daughter chromosomes of the future daughter nuclei. Now what are the characteristics of anaphase? The first one is that the centromere, they split and the chromatids are separated. So that you can see very clearly over here. Also in this microscopic image you can see that the chromatids are moving towards the opposite poles. Here you can see very clearly that the centromere, they get separated and the chromatids are also separated. Now the chromatids that are separated, the second characteristic feature is that the chromatids which are separated, they will move to the opposite poles. And as they move to the opposite poles, they are referred to as the daughter chromosomes. So before, when they were at the metaphase plate, they were considered as the daughter chromatids, correct? But now when they get mature and they get moved towards the opposite poles, they will be referred to as daughter chromosomes of the future daughter nuclei. After anaphase is telophase. Now telophase, at the beginning of this final stage of karyokinesis, is telophase. The chromosome reaches their respective poles, okay, and decondensation takes place. So here you can see the chromosomes have moved to the opposite poles completely, correct? The individual chromosomes can no longer be seen, and each set of chromatin material tends to collect at each of the two poles. Now the characteristic feature of telophase is that the chromosome cluster at opposite spindle poles and their identity is lost as a discrete element. The second is the nuclear envelope develops around the chromosome cluster. So again there will be a development of the nuclear envelope. Okay, so the nuclear envelope develops around the chromosome cluster at each pole, forming the two daughter nuclei. Then nucleolus, Golgi complex and the endoplasmic reticulum, which was lost, will again start to reappear in a cell. So this is considered as an end of karyokinesis, as an end of nuclear division. So here the nuclear is successfully divided. Next is cytokinesis. Cytokinesis is cytoplasmic division. So mitosis, it is not only accomplished by the segregation, or you can say the duplication of chromosomes, but it is also done by dividing the two daughter cell by the separation of the cytoplasm. And the separation of cytoplasm is called as cytokinesis. Okay, and this takes place at the end of the cell division. Now, cytokinesis takes place differently in animal cell and plant cell. If you see this, in animal cell, it is the cytoplasmic division, it is achieved by the appearance of furrow. So there will be an appearance of furrow, or you can say a cleavage formation will take place in the plasma membrane. Whereas if you see the cytokinesis process in plant cell they are enclosed by a relatively inextensible cell wall. So there is a cell wall formation, and as the cell wall formation takes place, the two cells are separated. Okay, so the cytokinesis process is different in animal cell and it is different in plant cell. Now let us also study the significance of mitosis. What is the significance of mitosis? First, we can say that it is an equational division and it is restricted to diploid cell, but however, as discussed previously, there are some haploid cells that also undergo mitosis. The example that we took was of a male honeybee. Then this is resulted in a production of diploid daughter cells which will have the exact identical genetic material. And mitosis, it is very important for the growth of multicellular organism, for the growth of new cells. So the cell growth, it results in distributing the ratio between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. It therefore becomes essential for the cell to divide to restore the nucleocytoplasmic ratio. The nucleocytoplasmic ratio is very important. The equal distribution of nucleus and cytoplasm in every cell is very important. A very significant contribution of mitosis is cell repair. So any cell that is worn out, that is injured, can be repaired, can be replaced by the mitosis process. The cells of the upper layer of the epidermis, the cells of the lining of the gut and the blood cells are being constantly replaced. So again, as discussed previously, that there are some cells in our body that get constantly replaced, but there are some other cells of the cell body which only get replaced when there is a requirement in an organism's body. And the mitotic division in a meristematic tissue, that is the apical and the lateral cambium, it results in a continuous growth of the plant throughout their life. So about this meristematic tissue and the apical and the lateral meristem, how the division takes place over here, this we will be studying in the next chapter, that is the 8th chapter. Now students, for now I am ending this session, and in the next session we will take this chapter forward, where we will be studying about the meiosis.